Parshas MATOS MASAI, we're going to finish Sefer Bamidbar. And I just wanted to bring to your attention one section from Parshas MATOS, which is the great Midianite war, where the Jewish people fight against Moab and Midian. Moab and Midian were abutting the Jordan River. So we see that the Jewish people have to really defeat Moab and Midian before they can enter into the Promised Land. This is really the end of the journey. And it's really the last major event that takes place before Bnei Yisrael enters into Eretz Yisrael. And that makes sense, because the very end of Sefer Bamidbar really historically marks the very last days before Moshe dies and we go into Eretz Yisrael. You know, Sefer Devarim is only over the course of about 15 days. So this is really the end of the line. The last war, and the Jewish people have a miraculous victory. And what do I mean by a miraculous victory? Well, the Torah says that after the war, the soldiers who had been on the battlefield come before Moshe. And this is what they say. The Pasuk records in Perek Lamed Aleph, "Vayikrevu el Moshe hapekudim asher le'alfei hatzava, sarei ha'alafim v'sarei ha'me'os." All of the battle commanders, people, the generals, the captains, a delegation comes before Moshe. "Vayomeru el Moshe avadecha nasu'u et rosh anshe ha'milchama asher b'yadeinu v'lo nifkad mimenu ish." We have counted all of our soldiers after the war. Not one soldier was lost. Not one. Of thousands, and more likely tens of thousands of people who were waging battle, not one person was lost. There were no casualties whatsoever. And therefore, Vanakrev es Korban Hashem, and therefore we would like now at this time to offer an offering of thanksgiving to God. And that was really the intent, is why they were offering all of these spoils to be consecrated for God as an expression of thanks. And Rabbi Yosef Bechor Shor, very important Tosafist, says in his commentary that this is precisely what they were saying. Avadecha nasu'u, your servants have lifted up. What it really means is asu cheshbon. They made a census, we counted. Kamo ki tisat rosh b'nei Yisrael, as it says, like when you count the heads of the Jewish people. V'lo nifkad, there was no missing. Nechsar means there was nothing missing. Kamo vayipaked makom David, as the place of David was deficient. V'zehu nes gadol, this was a tremendous miracle. U'me'acher sha'asa lanu hakadosh baruch hu nes, once God did this miracle for us, nitain lo todah, we want to express our thanks. Ki haragnu uma gedola v'lo nechsar mimenu ish. Because look what happened. We were able to slay this huge, mighty army, and not one of us was lost. No casualties. The question that one can first ask is, why didn't the Torah just say, v'lo mes mimenu ish? What is the word nifkad mimenu ish? Nifkad is an unusual way of saying that we didn't lose anybody. V'lo nifkad mimenu. They could have just said, v'lo nechsar mimenu klum, or shum adam. And I think that one of the explanations as to what really, there's a deeper meaning to this pasuk of v'lo nifkad mimenu ish, and something that we really need to think about now that we have our own army, the Jewish people have their own army in Israel, is based on a midrash which elaborates on this pasuk. It's the pasuk in Shir HaShirim, Shinayach ke'eder harechelim. My beloved's teeth are like a flock of sheep. That's the metaphor that is used in Shir HaShirim. So the Medrash says, why are the Jewish people compared to a flock of sheep? Ma Rachel zu tzenuah, kach hayu Yisrael tzenuim uchesherim b'milchemet Midian. That just like the sheep is modest and humble, so too the Jewish people were modest and fit and behaving properly when they went out to war against the Midianites. Now the Medrash doesn't elaborate, but it does certainly indicate that there was a certain refinement among the soldiers of war when they went out to battle. They were people of fine character. They were not overly aggressive. They fought a fair war, a dignified war. I think that one of the explanations of V'lo nifkad mimenu ish is that the ish within our soldiers was never taken away. It's not just the fact that we didn't lose any lives, but that the ishiyut, the humanity within our people, was not lost when we went out to battle. And if you take a look at the next line of the Medrash, I think that's really the deeper meaning of what the Medrash is trying to convey. Rabbi Huna b'shem Rabbi Acha Amar, shelo hiktim echad mehen tefillin shel rosh litfillin shel yad. Now what do those words mean? Very strange, bless you, what the Medrash is trying to communicate. Of all of the soldiers,
which is usually first?
What?
What is usually first?
What you usually do when you put on your tefillin is you put on your tefillin shel yad, and then you put on your tefillin shel rosh. And then when you take off the tefillin, you take off the tefillin shel rosh first, and then you take off the tefillin shel yad. So, none of our soldiers put on his tefillin shel rosh first before his tefillin shel yad. No one reversed the order of how they put on their tefillin, which is very bizarre. Like, out of all of the things that you could imagine a soldier doing wrong, maybe not one of us forgot to recite Kriya Shema. Not one of us forgot to say a bracha before eating. But not one of us forgot the right order of putting on tefillin. That sounds strange, doesn't it?
I think it's in general to say they didn't lose the focus, and also what tefillah is inside the tefillin.
Yes,
The meaning of the
they
tefillin
were always focused on the meaning of what was inside the tefillin, but the exact same text that is in the tefillin shel rosh is in the tefillin shel yad.
But I think it's a general thing to say they didn't lose focus of why they were at war.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. We're going to refine that even more. Yes.
Maybe because the hand one is near to the heart, and the heart's first before the head.
I think that's what the Medrash is trying to convey as well. I think so. I think what it's trying to tell us is, now let's just finish the line. It says, She'ilu hikdim echad mehen tefillin shel rosh l'tefillin shel yad, lo haya Moshe meshabecham. That if one of them would have put on his head tefillin before his arm tefillin, then Moshe would not have praised them the way he did. V'lo hayu olin misham b'shalom. And they would not have been able to emerge unharmed in peace. From this we see that they were overly righteous. They were exceedingly righteous. And that every one of them was pure and good, and each one did the right thing. So I think what Shireen, what you were saying is at least that's one explanation. The first explanation that we present as to what this Medrash is trying to convey, which is consistent with what we said, V'lo nifkad mimenu ish, no one lost their ishness in the case of war, is that when you go into war, you have to go in with a full head and a full heart. And a lot of times, you are so focused intently, intellectually on the defeating the enemy that you lose all sense of heart in the course of the battle. And even a war that's fought has to be fought morally, has to be fought with the heart first and then the head second. That's why the Torah, in certain places in Devarim, when it talks about the rules of warfare, tells us how that you have to be conscious at the time of war of, number one, creating an avenue of exit for the women and children who are not participants in the battlefront. When you besiege a city, you have to give them a place to escape, because they're not, you can't just count them as collateral damage. You have to fight the soldiers and allow a way of escape for the women and children. When you go to a battlefield which has an orchard, don't wantonly destroy the fruit trees. You have to preserve the nature, you have to preserve the ecosystem. So all of these things require not just an awareness intellectually about how to win a war, but they also require a sensitivity as well. And so that's what I believe the Medrash is trying to point out when it says that they put on their tefillin shel yad, which is closer to the heart, right next to the heart, before they put on the tefillin shel rosh. And we've seen this continuously when the Israeli army goes to war. Not that it has a perfect record. No army can possibly have a perfect record because war is chaos. And you can't achieve perfect order amidst chaos. But at least in the war effort, Israel is the most moral army that exists on the face of the earth. Dropping leaflets before you bomb. Evacuate, we're about to destroy your building because it's the site where rockets are being shot out. Going from house to house in Jenin, when instead we could have just leveled the entire city. Right? Doing all of these things to be able to reduce collateral damage is something that the Israeli army is famous for. Unless you're the United Nations, of course, which looks at things differently from the reality. Okay? So that's the first explanation. But I think the second explanation, and it's, I think, a message that is not only pertinent to an army and the morality of war, but it also pertains to every single person because we're always fighting a battle. And the Gemara in Maseches Brachos and in other places as well says, Minayin shahat tefillin ozhein li Yisrael. Source number 4. How do we know that the tefillin are a sign of strength for the Jewish people? Dichsiv, as it says in the Torah, V'ra'u kol amei ha'aretz, ki shem Hashem nikra alecha v'yora'u mimeka. As it says that all of the nations of the world will see that the name of God is called upon you or is placed upon you, and they will be in fear of you. The Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol Omer, the great Rabbi Eliezer said, Elu tefillin shebarosh. This refers to the tefillin that's on your head. The tefillin on your head, when the nations see them, they will be in great awe and fear of you. And this is therefore an indication that the tefillin are the symbol of strength for the Jewish people. Now, of course, you may ask the question, why is it that when I put on my tefillin and I walk outside, why is my Gentile neighbor not immediately recoiling in great fear and terror by watching me in my tefillin shel rosh? Why, when I put on my tefillin in the airport and I try to have a moment of privacy, are all the people walking through the airport completely unimpressed or just look at me like I'm a crazy man or a religious fanatic? And they don't have that sense of great awe and fear by looking at the tefillin. So there are stories about great tzadikim who, when they put on their tefillin, people were in great awe of them, because a lot of it depends on your kavanah. But I think that using this medrash that we just saw a moment ago, I think there's a reason for it. When will the world look upon your tefillin and be in awe? When you first put on your tefillin shel yad. One of the differences between the tefillin shel yad and the tefillin shel rosh is not that one is by the heart and one is by the head, but rather one is visible to the public and the other one is not visible to the public. The tefillin shel yad is specifically placed on a part of the body which is not meant to be exposed. It's placed on the bicep, which is usually covered by a sleeve. And it's not meant to be exposed to the public. Why is it important to put on that part of the tefillin first before you put on the tefillin shel rosh? Because a person has to have confidence in himself before they can allow others to have confidence in the person. A person has to be fortified and feel that sense of self and confidence in what it means to be a Jew first in a private space. That I can look in the mirror without anyone present and say how proud I am to be a Jew. And feel that sense of awe from the tefillin themselves when it's just me in my own personal space. And then only afterwards, when I put on the public tefillin, can I expect to instill awe within the world. If I don't feel that sense of greatness when I put on my tefillin shel yad, I can't expect the world to be in awe of greatness of the Jew when I put on the tefillin shel rosh. And I think that's another message that is being communicated by this medrash. Why did the Jewish people not suffer any casualties? Because it wasn't just a public display of our confidence in Hashem. Every single Jew privately, personally, really was able to feel that connection to God and feel that sense of security even before going out onto the battlefield. It wasn't just a battle cry. It was something very, very personal that was felt on the inside and started from the inside and went from inside to the outside and not the other way around. So if a Jew is able to put on the tefillin shel yad proverbially, to be able to feel that sense of fortification and confidence in what it means to be a Jew first, and then put on the public tefillin, so then they're guaranteed, they're assured to be successful in battle, whatever that battlefront is. It's when we try to fight the wars of God and we don't have that internal confidence, then that there's a possibility of faltering and not fully succeeding. So that I think is a lesson for all of us. We can all take whether we put on tefillin or not. Okay? So have a great day, everyone.